Senator, it's great to see you again. Thank you for your time. Let me start with the big news today. Your thoughts, your reactions to the Supreme Court rejecting yet another major challenge to the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act.
Well, Eamon, for the third time, the Supreme Court has said this law is good law, and GOP, you're not taking health insurance away from tens of millions of people. The sheer amount of energy that the GOP has devoted to this, the administration, Trump administration, through regulatory mischief, Congress trying to repeal the ACA and dozens of court cases, it's just been horrible because we could have taken that energy and used it to make this law work even better. But my hope is great. Now that the Supreme Court has said for the third time this is good law, my hope is we can move toward improvements to continue to bring down costs and expand coverage. And that's what my colleagues and I'm on the Health and Education, Labor, Pension Committee in the Senate. That's what we're all very focused on now. How can we make this better?
Senator, it has been almost 20 years since the initial authorization for the use of military forces in Iraq was passed, which presidents since that time have used to justify military actions around the world. Today, 49 Republicans joined House Democrats in voting to repeal that 2002 AUMF. The White House says President Biden will sign it if it reaches his desk. But let me play for you what Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said about it. He obviously opposes it, but take a listen to this.
Tossing it aside without answering real questions about our ongoing efforts in the region is reckless. The 2002 AUMF is important in Iraq today because it provides authorities for U.S. forces there to defend themselves from a variety of real exigent threats. It's arguably even more important in Syria, where our personnel are present against the wishes of the brutal Assad regime, supporting local Kurdish and Arab forces and conducting strikes against ISIS.
How do you respond to Senator McConnell's comments there? And are you confident that you will be able to get past this opposition to get the AUMF repealed in the Senate?
Eamon, I am. I co-sponsored this bill with Senator Todd Young, Republican of Indiana. We've got numerous Republican co-sponsors. My answer to Senator McConnell would be what he's talking about is the 2001 AUMF. The 2001 AUMF, to go after the non-state terrorists that perpetrated the attack of 9/11, that's the authorization that is used in Iraq to help American forces repel attacks by non-state terrorist group. That's the authorization that is used by American troops to justify defense in Syria. The 2002 authorization and the 1991 authorization, which were authorizations designed to attack the sovereign nation of Iraq, to topple the Iraqi government, those have not been cited in any legitimate way to cover any operation for a very long time. And Iraq is not an enemy now. Iraq was an enemy in 91 and 02. Iraq's now a security partner. So our goal is repeal the Iraq AUMFs 91 and 02, and then work with the White House on the revision of the 2001 authorization to make sure that the issues that Senator McConnell has on the table, we have to think about those carefully, but we can do it. And the key is we finally have a White House that is confident enough in their own Article 2 power that they don't view Congress asserting Article 1 power as threatening. Joe Biden was the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He understands that Article 1 power is important, and Congress shouldn't be able to just duck these issues.
Let's talk about infrastructure, if I can. 11 Republican senators, they're prepared to support a plan that's negotiated by this bipartisan group of senators. But you also have 10 Democratic senators who actually do support it. But there are others who say they won't because it's simply not doing enough when it comes to the fight against climate change. Where do you stand on this proposal? Do you think that has a chance of going anywhere in its current form?
So, Eamon, I'm a member of the Budget Committee, and we're right now working on a budget reconciliation instruction to do infrastructure, to do education, to do a whole lot of things. I'm very encouraged by the bipartisan discussions. I just have one caveat about them. I would like to get a bipartisan deal, but every Democrat who votes for it has to be willing to look at each other and say, and we will do a reconciliation bill to pick up the things that Republicans won't support. Republicans won't support meaningful climate legislation. The nation needs it. Republicans are not that likely to support meaningful immigration legislation. I hope that they would, but if they don't, we should try to do that in a reconciliation bill if we can. So there's a number of items that are not part of this bipartisan deal. That doesn't mean the items in the bipartisan deal are bad, but I don't want Democrats to vote for a bipartisan deal and say, good, now we're done, let's move on to talk about something else. We need to maintain Democratic willingness, all 50 of us, to do via reconciliation what we can't get Republicans to do in a bipartisan deal.
All right, Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. Tall order ahead of you on all these fronts. Thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it, Senator.